What's up everybody, welcome back. So I want to do a video series about more advanced AI, and to be able to do that we are going to need a zombie that follows us around in a map. So this is just a simple project setup video to make sure we have a zombie that can follow us around. And after we did that, in the next video we're going to start setting up our senses, and we're going to work with things like that. So I want to at least cover the sight sense, the hearing sense, damage and prediction. And then I want to talk about the environmental query system and probably behavior trees as well. And after all that, we might set up an AI that actually uses all of this stuff combined. So we have a fairly advanced AI. Maybe a separate video about NavMeshes as well, and setting up advanced NavMesh behavior and things like that. So that's the kind of stuff we're going to talk about in this series. So in this video, just setting up a zombie that can follow us around. Nothing really too complicated, but for someone that wants to follow the tutorial but has no clue how to do it, I want to make sure it's in here. So let's get started on this. So I'm using my first-person shooter character from my tutorial. If you didn't follow the tutorial, you can simply use a first-person example project. That doesn't really matter. If you followed my tutorial, you could use this character to make things look a bit neater, but it doesn't really matter. As long as you have a player character that can walk around, you are good to go. For the second thing, I added an enemy to the map, and I used the zombie mocap starter pack for this. I'm not sure if it's a free pack. It could be. It was only free for a month, so if you don't have it and you don't want to get it, you can simply use the animation starter pack from the mannequin, for example, and use the animations from that. So if you have animations for your enemy, first we are going to set up animations. So create a blend space, and it's going to be a one-dimensional blend space. So you go to animation blend space 1D, and in here you're going to set the horizontal axis to speed, and you're going to start at 0 and end at something like 400. And you're going to drag in the animations in the graph over here. So on the left is going to be the idle animation, walking, running, and then sprint at the end. And we have a blend space for moving around set up. So that's all we need to do in here. You're going to save and close this. And after that, you need to create an animation blueprint for your skeleton. So create a new animation blueprint. And in the event graph, all you need to do is get a speed variable. So we're simply going to check if our pawn owner is valid, and from the pawn owner get the velocity, get the vector length from that, and store that in your speed float. And then in the animation graph you can drag in the blend space you created, plug in the speed variable from the event graph, and plug that into the output pose, and we are good to go. So it's a really basic animation blueprint, but as long as he can move around, that's fine. So after you created those two, you can create the actual character. So you're going to right click, create a new blueprint class, and select the character over here. If you open up this new character in the viewport, set your mesh and make sure it's aligned, obviously. And let's see, also make sure you assign your animation blueprint to the mesh so the animations are working. And then in the event graph, at begin play, I'm going to add a little delay to make sure the pawn is possessed and everything is spawned in the map and things like that. So 0.1 delay. Get all actors of class and get the first person character. So I'm going to store that as the enemy from the zombie. So the player is my enemy. And after that, I'm going to create a new custom event, call that chase player loop, and that's a really short event, so you can copy it. We're simply going to go in here, check if we have a follow enemy boolean enabled, so create follow enemy and plug that into the branch over here. So if it's false, I'm going to go to a half a second delay and then check it again. If it's true, I'm going to move to my enemy pawn, and that's the enemy I stored in the begin play over here. And from the movement result you can drag off and type switch, and then you get a switch node that allows you to switch on the different results. So if the move succeeded, I'm going to wait 1.5 seconds, and if it's blocked or aborted or failed and things like that, I'm going to just wait half a second and then loop back to the beginning. So that's our movement loop. After you created this function or event, make sure you call it from the begin play here. And then create 2 new custom events and call that start chasing player and stop chasing player. So for start, we can simply enable the follow enemy boolean, and for stop, make sure you set it back to false. Then drag in your character movement component from over here and call the stop movement immediately, so we do not have to wait for the actual result and checking the boolean again, but it will simply abort the movement right away. So that's setting up the zombie character. I probably need to mention that for the character movement over here, I set the move speed to 300. So the player is faster than the zombie and we can outrun him. So that's a little bit easier if we're testing the senses and things like that. So compile and save this. Now, if we set this boolean to true manually, the zombie is going to follow us around. So default set it to true and we can test if this is working. So this probably won't work for you because I forgot something. Let me stop. So if you open up the viewport, you need to place a NavMesh in your level for the zombie to be able to walk around. So for the place actors over here, look for the NavMesh bounce volume. This one, NavMesh bounce volume, and simply drag it into your map. So I already have it, I'm not going to do it again. And then make sure that it covers your entire map. So let me see, NavMesh bounce, where is it? And go to the top view over here. So this is not the correct one. This one. So it covers my entire map, and for the height it covers the floor. That's the most important part. It doesn't really need to cover all the boxes and cubes since we're not going to walk on top of them, so that's fine. So if you placed it and you press P on your keyboard, then you're going to see the NavMesh and where it's being generated. So that's where the zombie can walk around. So that should work. If we play right now, the dude should be able to follow us, and there he goes. So if he reaches us, he's going to wait 1.5 seconds and then start again. So that's working. And that's pretty much all we need to do to set up this project. Let me think real quick. I don't think I forgot anything. No, we should be good to go. So if I set it to false, let's make sure he's not following us. That's the wrong viewport. There we go. So he's just standing there. Okay, we're good to go. So this is the project setup. In the next video, we're going to start by adding the perception component and looking at the sight sense. So thanks for watching, everybody. Talk to you later. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you liked the video or you think you might have learned something, please consider leaving a like. I'll be back for more.